Now sometimes the data that you have may not be wholly accurate. For example, suppose I were to say that the sales growth was this much, plus or minus a little bit. So the data that I have is probably the most likely version, but it could be out by a few percent, or it could be within a certain range. This is when error bars could be useful. Error bars allow you to show that range. So if I go to the Add Further Analyses and scroll down, we can see error bars. These were added in around March 2022. So if you're using an older version, you won't see it. Now, if I expand this, you can see that firstly it says, what are you applying the settings to? You may have more than one series in your line or bar chart that you want to apply error bars to. Then we've got the options. First of all, do you actually want them? Is it enabled? So you can switch that on or off. And then you can say, these are the values for my low and my high. So I can either say by field, and I will have a number in the field for my upper bound and one for my lower bound. I can also say, are these figures the absolute figures or are they relative? So for example, suppose I had a line chart where the figure was 30,000. I could have an upper bound of 40,000 and a lower bound of 10,000, and therefore I would have an error bar going all the way from 40 to 10,000 with the actual line chart going at 20,000. Alternatively, I can say it is relative. So I can say the upper bound is out by up to 10,000 and the lower bound by 20,000. So it takes the 30,000 on the line chart and adds 10,000 and subtracts 20,000. Now alternatively, you can also say it can be out by up to this percent. So you can see that it has added error bars because this is a lot easier way to use these error bars if you don't have absolute figures. So I can say this can be wrong by up to 50%, and now you can see that the error bar goes all the way up to 50% above the sales volume, or it could be as much as, let's say, 50% below, or maybe even 100% below. So whatever you choose, it should be realistic of your data. The next section is bar. So this shows or doesn't show the bar. And here you can format it, you can match the color series, so you can see changes to the blue that this series is using. Or you can say, no, I want to specify my own color, so I want red, for instance. You can say what width you want, and also the shape that is shown at the very top and the very bottom of the error bar. So traditionally it's a horizontal line and a thin width. You could also say what size the marker, the thing at the top, is going to be. You can also have a border color and a border size. So generally you might not want to adjust any of these settings. Now suppose that you didn't want a bar, suppose you wanted a band. Well, you can do that as well. So you can say, okay, I want a band from the top fill down to the bottom of the error range. Now you can say I want a fill, or I want a series of lines. Now it's a bit difficult to see the difference, but if I go up into years, you can now see that this is shown as a line, and that is shown as a filled area, as opposed to just a simple bar. So whichever one is most effective in your visualizations is the one that you should use. And you can say I want both a fill and a line if you so wish. You can also adjust the band color, or you can make it match the series. Change the transparency. so lighter usually works, and the marker shape and size. These last two aren't used if you've already got the bar shown, because that's a bit duplicatory. And then we have got error labels. So that can show the absolute figures that are being used, or it could show the difference in percentage terms. So I said 10% above and 10% below, as opposed to in this case, the sales volume above and below. And I can also show the range as well, which is fairly similar to the absolute figure. I can also adjust the background of these labels and change the transparency. And then finally, there is a tooltip. So if I hover over them, you can see the central value, in this case 24.47%, and the upper and the lower extent of our error bars. So these are error bars. You can use them by clicking on your line or bar chart and going to Add Further Analyses. Go to Error Bars, and then you can enable them. Say how you're going to have the top and the bottom of the range specified, either by field or by percentage. And then you can adjust the bar, the error band, and the error labels and tooltip accordingly.